respected HOD, BOS Chairman and Faculty Advisor, IJS SVC Student Chapter, Dr. O. Ishwar Reddy Garu, Speaker of the session, Mr. K. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu, Senior Design Engineer at McAfee Environmental Solutions Private Limited, Gurgaon, India. Mr. M. Tarun Kumar Garu, Assistant Professor, Coordinator, IJS SVC Student Chapter, faculty members of Civil Engineering Department, SVEC, and all the participants. A very good afternoon all. I am Kaushik Kumar, President of IGS Sri Vidyaniketan Engineering College Student Chapter. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all here for day one, second technical session of a 2-day national level online workshop on technological advancements in geotechnical engineering practice with geosynthetics, organized by Department of Civil Engineering, IGS SVC Student Chapter. The world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having one of them here today to build this event. And this is none other than Mr. K. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu, Senior Design Engineer at McAfee Environmental Solutions Private Limited, Gurgaon, India. Now I request Ms. Hemlata to read the profile of our resource person, Mr. K. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu. Over to you, Hemlata.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries and participants. I am Hemlata. Good afternoon to all the dignitaries and participants. I am Hemlata, Community Service Committee Head, IGS SVEC Student Chapter. It's my pleasure to read the profile of Mr. K. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu. Mr. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu, a highly skilled civil engineer, having over 6 years experience with technical and commercial knowledge on road payments, retaining structures, geosynthetics, and hydraulic structures. He was graduated from Sri Vidyaniketan Engineering College, Tirupati in Civil Engineering. Mr. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy worked as Senior Manager in several projects in private limited industries, including TechFab India Industries Limited and McAfee Environmental Solutions Private Limited. He held so many key responsibilities as Senior Manager in many projects involving design and marketing activities for geosynthetic applications in road payments, development of standard design and marketing tools for the payment applications, and so on. The key projects involved by Dheeraj Kumar Reddy are Amravati Payment Stabilization Works, Missing Link Project in Gujarat, Uttarakhand Landslide Rehabilitation Works, Valmiki Nagar Riverfront Development Works. Mr. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy has experience in geotechnical and environmental solutions using geosynthetic material with applications in payment stabilization, gabion returning walls, flood control works, reinforced soil walls or slopes, erosion control, and coastal protection works. He had vast knowledge on various geosynthetics, woven steel fire products, and their applications. He is also well familiar with IRC, IS, BS, ASTM, and Eurocode for flood control and retention works. He was more successful at anticipating future problems and implementing creative solutions, and also effective in managing large diverse teams on variety of projects. Thank you. It's an honor to me to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu, to share his valuable lecture with us. Please, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind words.
Good evening, Dheeraj.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Go.
Sir, you need to enable screen sharing for me.
Yeah, perfect.
So you're able to see my screen, sir?
Yes, yes.
So good afternoon all. Myself Dheeraj Kumar Reddy. So I feel privileged to be one of the resource person and speaking in front of you all, and being one of the alumni of Vidyaniketan Engineering College. And today the presentation I'll be speaking on like its applications and case studies of geosynthetic materials in road pavements. So now, as you are aware that the development of roads is given the prior importance in India. And just for your knowledge, like in India, 60% of total goods and 85% of total passenger traffic is carried by road networks. And as a result of that, over a period of last 60 years, like the road network has increased by 11 times. And I am very happy to present you very good roads in India, including the rural roads, like which have been like of prime importance over past few years. But at the same time, we should accept some harsh reality where due to various reasons, the situation of roads in India are like this. Like due to the poor drainage systems or the slope failures or erosion failures. So when we talk about the major causes of these failures, starting from the poor existing soil properties, because we cannot like eliminate the use of poor grounds from constructing the road network, and the poor drainage. That is, when we are planning for a construction of road pavement, we do not plan the drainage system, which is of prime importance, and the poor drainage system will cause the failure of total structure. And the contamination of road material, then it is the insufficient strength of road material, that is the materials, granular materials that we use in the road pavements. If we have insufficient strength, that can lead to the failure of road pavements. Defects in construction method and quality control. This is something like even you design like with 100% accuracy and perfection, if someone who is at site, he doesn't implement what you have designed correctly, so that leads to the failure of your design structure. Then it is short-term design, increase in traffic loads or traffic volume. That is, at the stage of a design, you design the road pavement for 15 to 20 years, and the traffic what you are intending in 15 to 20 years, if it is fulfilled within 5 years, then it is a short-term design. So that is also one more reason where your road pavements fail. So now we have discussed about various causes of the road failures, and to address all these causes, in today's presentation, we will see the functions of various geosynthetic materials which can be used in road pavements and address these issues, and the applications of geosynthetics in road pavements. And again, with each application, I'll discuss about the design and codal provisions, because there are certain codes and guidelines in India which are available for each application of geosynthetics. Earlier, it was not the case, because before 5 or 6 years, the availability of standards and guidelines in India was very less for geosynthetic applications. But now, they have emerged very rapidly, and the usage also has grown very much. And for each application, I'll be showing you one case study, how it is implemented at site. And then we will see the comparison with the conventional solutions, because we are talking about geosynthetics which are implemented or used as an alternative to the conventional solutions that are there. So starting with the functions of geosynthetics, that is how we can avoid the failures we have just discussed. First is separation function using a then it is drainage, the collecting of precipitated water and discharging it to the safer places. And then it is filtration. Filtration is you are allowing water to pass through different layers, but at the same time you are not allowing the soil to pass through. That is, you are preventing the mixing of two soils and allowing the water to dissipate. Then it is reinforcement. Reinforcement is generally strengthening of a particular layer or a material. And the barrier, that is to arrest the capillary rise of water. So with these functions, we have different applications of geosynthetics that we will see one by one. So the applications of geosynthetics, which are cost-effective solution, and with all the codal provisions used as an alternative to the conventional solutions, are starting from the subgrade separation and stabilization. So if you are aware of the pavement structure, which has this subgrade, that we call it as existing ground. And on the top of the subgrade, we have GSB, that is granular subbase, made up of granular material. Then we have base layer, that is wet mix macadam. And then we have the bituminous layers. This is in case of the flexible pavement. And in case of rigid pavement, there is an existing ground, and on the top of that, there is a granular subbase, which acts as a filter layer or drainage layer. And then on the top of that, there will be a concrete slab. So in all these layers or the parts of the pavement, we have a different applications of geosynthetics. That is starting from the bottom, that is subgrade stabilization or separation, and then ground improvement for road embankments. Because when your road embankment is passing through a very poor soil, you need to improve that ground to make it suitable for the road construction. And then it is subsurface drainage, that is drainage within the pavement structures. Because when your rainfall happens and your water is infiltrated into the pavement structure, that needs to be discharged into the safer places. Otherwise, your infiltrated water will stay within the pavement structure and destroy the pavement. Then it is base or subbase stabilization, that is stabilizing your structural parts of the flexible pavements. That is the base and subbases, which are load carrying parts of the pavement. Then it is overlay stress absorption or stabilization, that is stabilizing the bituminous layers, that is the black topping of pavements. And the surface erosion control on road embankments. Like when you have a road, the slope of the road embankment, and when your rainfall happens, there is an every chance that your slope erodes along with the movement of water. So to prevent that, what are the measures we will see? Before going to the applications, I would like just to focus on the standards and the guidelines that are available in the geosynthetic applications. First, starting with the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway specification, that is section 700, which exclusively deals with the specification of geosynthetics for various applications in road construction. Then there is IRC 37. This is the guidelines for the design of flexible pavements in India. And IRC SP 59, that is the guidelines for use of geosynthetics in road pavements and associated works. And again, this code is exclusively for geosynthetics, including the design methodologies, applications, working mechanisms, installation methodologies, everything it covers. Then IRC SP 42, that is the guidelines for road drainage, and IRC 113, and this is the guidelines for design and construction of geosynthetic reinforced embankments on soft subsoils. And IRC 75 is the guidelines for high embankments. And the IRC 34 is there, that is the recommendations for road construction in areas affected by waterlogging, flooding, and salt infiltration. Then IRC SP 116 is there, that is the guidelines for design and construction of cabin structures. So my suggestion would be like, if not for the usage, at least for understanding various applications, the mechanisms, the designs, and the provisions of geosynthetics that are used for road construction. These guidelines are useful both for the transportation engineering and geotechnical engineering prospects. And these guidelines are something like more easier than your textbooks actually. So they are more easier to understand than your textbooks. So my suggestion would be keep at least one copy with you, and whenever required, you can just go through them. And starting with the separation and filtration function. So this is the application where, for example, you have a black cotton soil, and on the top of it, if you intend to construct a road, that is, the road will have a good quality granular materials and the other layers. So over a period of time, what happens is the good quality material on the top of black cotton soil will get mixed with these clayey particles, and it will deteriorate the strength of your good quality material also. So if we prevent intermixing of these two layers, each layer will function its purpose for the entire lifetime of the pavement. So in order to separate these two layers, we have a non-woven geotextile which separate the two layers, and at the same time it will allow the water to pass through, because if you arrest the water passage again, it will develop the pore water pressure and the unnecessary problems will arise. So this geotextile will only restrict the passage of soil particles and allow the water to pass through. This is about the separation and filtration. And when we talk about the non-woven geotextile application, the BIS code, that is 16363, and the Ministry of Road Transport specification and IRC SP 59 covers the minimum requirements of geotextiles for using road pavements as a separation or filtration layer. So if you can see here, there are 3 conditions of installation, and based on our project situation, we can adopt what type of geotextile to be used, because based on harsh site conditions or moderate site conditions or less severe conditions, we have different strength requirements of the geotextiles to be used. And regarding the case study for the separation and filtration function, I'll show you one of the project which is executed, or I can say which is being executed in Gujarat currently. So that is Vadodara King Expressway, which is executed by NHAI, and the contractor is L&T. So actually the soft clay in the existing soil was the main problem over here, and the possibility of intermixing with the granular layers above, which will deteriorate the strength of the granular layers. Hence, there was a need for separation and filtration layer, and the non-woven geotextile, which meets the requirements of MORTH 700 specification for the separation and filtration geotextile, was used in this particular project. You can see the condition of soil in the subgrade, where it is purely a black bottom soil, which is expansive and weak, very weak in strength. So these are some of the project photographs. So basically these geotextiles will come in the form of rolls, where your each roll will be like around 5 meters wide and 100 meters long. And of course, these can be customized based on our requirement. So these rolls will be first unrolled as per our markings, and as your road pavement or the road is wider than your geotextile, you need to have the adjacent rolls, and these adjacent rolls need to be provided with an overlap, as you can see here, and this overlap will be 100 to 150 mm. So once these geotextiles are laid, the remaining granular layers or the gravel, GSB and other layers will be laid, and this geotextile will prevent the bottom soil to get mixed with the granular material that is being laid on the top of it. So next application is ground improvement involving geosynthetics. This ground improvement especially is required where you are constructing a road embankment, that is you are making your road elevated from the existing ground. So there are various options like basal reinforcement. You're reinforcing the bottom of embankment with the geogrid or the geocell, and the subsurface drainage, that is whatever the infiltrated water from the top or the capillary rise of the water needs to be discharged laterally, that is using the subsurface drainage, and the separation geotextile that we have seen just now. And there are other applications also, like deep foundations, like basal reinforcement with piles, and the staged construction with PVDs and stone columns. So now our focus will be on the stabilizing of road embankments with geocell. So what happens is, when you have a road embankment and your loads come from the top, and when it comes, this is the comparison between the road embankment without the reinforcement and with the reinforcement. And at the point where your reinforcement is laid, you can see the difference, because whatever the loads coming from the top of the embankment is directly transferred onto the poor soil conditions, poor soil, if you have a unreinforced embankment. And in case of a reinforcement embankment, if you can see in the photograph, this is a geocell, which is a 3-dimensional honeycomb structure. So if you fill some material in the geocell, through the lateral confinement, it will confine the material and it will form a slab kind of a thing. So at this particular point, what happens is whatever the loads or pressures coming from the top will be dispersed laterally. This is the reinforcement effect, where your pressures and loads are dispersed laterally. It's not like it is completely dispersed. Some amount of loads will be dispersed laterally, and the remaining amount of pressures or loads will be transferred down. So with this, whatever the loads coming from the top are minimized on the poor ground. So this is how you are enhancing the performance of your road structure. And regarding the design of geosynthetic reinforced embankments, I've just discussed about the various codes, and the IRC 75, that is the guidelines for design of high embankments, and the IRC 113, which is the design and construction of geosynthetic reinforced embankments. These are the guidelines. And if you are having at least basic fundamentals of geotechnical engineering, you can very easily understand the guidelines or the standards that is given in these codes. So regarding the technical specification of the geocell, that is specified in ministry's specification and IRC SP 59, which includes the density, environmental crack resistance, carbon black content, and cell wall thickness, peel strength and creep rupture strength of the geocell. So regarding the project which includes the geocell, I'll be discussing about one of the project in JNPT, that is Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust in Mumbai. Actually, the site was near shorelines, and you can understand it was a complete marine clay, which was having the differential settlements, and the parking lot will be subjected to very heavy loads with containers and trucks. So the very poor bearing capacity of foundation soil and the differential settlements were the major problems over there. So these problems made the requirement of any measures which will improve or which will dissipate the loads very evenly and minimize these problems. So as you can see in one of the photographs, how your ground is sinking here. So this is the problem, and the loads such as container or the heavy trucks, if they come on the top of this kind of grounds, they absolutely sink at that point. So these are some of the photographs. These are the geocell panels which will be spread initially on the ground, and in these geocell panels, the fill material, that is the granular fill, will be spread and compacted. And this is a geogrid for more even distribution of loads. And this is the finished structure of the parking lot. So this is about the case study of ground improvement. Next, we will talk about, I would say, the most happening or the most trending application of geosynthetic in India from last 1 year. So that is stabilizing your base and subbase layers of the pavement. So these base and subbase layers, which are the granular layers of the pavement, if we strengthen the layers, that is the granular layers, that will improve the modulus of that particular layer and thereby enhancing the life of your pavement. Or if we want to keep the life of the pavement same, we can optimize the cost of construction of the project. That is, if your cost of construction of a particular project is maybe 100 crores, we can optimize it by at least, if we optimize it at least by 10 crores, that is also a huge saving for the contractor or for the government. So the geogrid, which is shown in this photograph, this is a biaxial geogrid, which is having extrusions at the junctions, and the unique structure which allows to get a good grip on the aggregate particles. That is, if you have the aggregates on these apertures, they interlock with each other and you get a grip, thereby whatever the strength effect is there, that is transferred onto the aggregates, and thereby your layer will get strengthened. So what are the benefits of PP biaxial geogrids in the pavement? That is, first is thickness reduction. Like for example, if you have a constant life and the soil properties which are used for the conventional pavement, you can reduce the thicknesses of each layer. So that means when you are reducing the thickness of each layer, that means it will directly impact on your cost of the total project. Then increase in the design life. For example, conventional pavement, if you are designing it for maybe 15 years, and at later stages during construction, if authority decides to improve the design life from 15 years to 20 or 25 years, then that can be achieved using a reinforcement in the base and sub-base layers, because that will enhance your life of the pavement. Then use of marginal aggregate. Marginal aggregate is something that is not having the required strength of the natural general aggregate that is used in the pavements. These are especially available in the east and northeastern parts of India, where you do not get the adequate strength of aggregate materials. So that materials also can be made use in the pavement structure using a reinforcement and thereby strengthening that particular layers. So when we talk about the design methodology, so IRC 37 2018 and the IRC SP 59 covers the design methodology of the reinforced pavement using two methods, that is the modulus improvement factor method and the layer coefficient ratio method. So these are the two methods which either of which we can use and improve the modulus of that particular layer. Again, when we are improving the modulus, that means the strength of the pavement is being improved. This is a calculation. I'm not going into deep of this calculation. So this is a summary where you have a traffic loading, that is 16 million standard axles and 100 million standard axles of traffic. And your subgrade, that is the existing soil CBR, if we have a 6%, just I'm showing a comparison where you can see the bituminous layers and the granular layers. You can save certain amount of thicknesses, that is 20 mm and 50 mm. That means there is a significant saving in the material that is being used, and at the same time your construction period also comes down. So this will result in the overall reduction in the cost of the project. And when we talk about the specification, the BIS code, that is 17371, and the ministry specification or IRC SP 59 specifies the same table that I am showing here, where the stiffness of the geogrid, the strength at 2% and 5% strains. So you can see here the requirement is to achieve maximum strength at very minimal strains. And then the junction efficiency, as I was saying, the most unique part is the junction of this geogrid. So the junction efficiency is also one of the main factor. And the ultraviolet stability, this is for the durability of the geogrid. So for a project regarding the geogrid application, I'm going to show you one of the road project that has been already implemented in Amravati, that is in Andhra Pradesh. And this was executed by BSCPL and Gayatri Projects. So the project site, which was mostly with the clay, and the swelling pressure, this was the most important thing, where it was ranging up to 200%. So you can imagine what kind of a pressure that can exert on the structure. So in semi-arid climatic conditions, when we have short wet and dry conditions, the aggregate or the swelling pressure and the shrinkage problems will happen. So to counter this uplift swelling pressures and improve the subgrade conditions, the geogrid was used, and along with the geogrid, as I said earlier, the non-woven geotextile was also used as a separation layer. So this is a typical cross section of the pavement that was used. So these are some of the project photographs. You can see this is completely an agricultural field where your road is passing through. So this is a complete black cotton soil, and the soil was excavated and the surface was formed as per the level requirements. So on this formed surface, this white color one is a non-woven geotextile, and this is a geogrid. So first it's a geotextile which is laid, and then it is a geogrid. So you can see the adjacent rolls are overlapped, and using the dumpers, the GSB material, that is granular subbase material, aggregate was dumped, and then it was spread and compacted. So this is about the base and subbase stabilization. One more point is, I was just discussing about the geogrid for base and subbase stabilization. So as per the Indian Road Congress guidelines, the geocell can also be used for base and subbase stabilization. So this is the geocell material, that is the honeycomb structure, which is 3-dimensional in nature. And this geocell can also be used in subgrade strengthening and minimizing the differential settlements for road pavement. Next is the subsurface drainage. Subsurface drainage is something like you have a road pavement on the top of a ground, and when you have a infiltration, that is a rainfall happens and your water infiltrates into the pavement structure, that water you need to dissipate it to the away from the pavement. So that is collect and convey mechanism, where you have a drainage composite which will have two sides geotextiles, and in between there will be a core. So what happens is, when your water passes through the pavement structure, it will be collected into the drainage core, and this core transmits and discharges your water outside. So this is the subsurface drainage. So regarding the codal provisions for drainage composite, first is the IRC 37, that is the guidelines for design of flexible pavements. It gives the provision of using drainage composite in case of CTSB road pavements. CTSB is something like cement treated subbases, where you are strengthening your base and subbase layers of road pavement using cementitious materials. When that strengthening happens, the granular layers will lose its drainage characteristics. So in order to compensate that loss, the IRC 37 specifies to use the drainage composite as a compensated material. Next is IRC SP 42, which is the guidelines for road drainage. This is applicable for both like rigid pavement or your flexible pavement, and especially in case of rigid pavement, where your granular subbase or the aggregate material is only to serve the purpose of drainage and not for the structural importance. So there your granular material can be replaced with the drainage composite. Now, for the road drainage, there is one more application in IRC SP 42, that is the arresting of capillary rise. So if you have a drainage composite at a particular level, above which you do not want the water to enter in the road embankment, you can place a drainage composite which will collect the water that is coming from the bottom and discharge it to the away from the embankment. So this is the recommendations for road construction in areas affected by waterlogging or flooding, where if you have a cutting for the construction of roads, so at the edge there will be side drains or the French drains that will be constructed. So the IRC 34 recommends the use of drainage composite for the edge drains or the fin drains also. So when we talk about the technical properties or the technical specification of drainage composite, we have the strength, puncture resistance, and the hydraulic properties. That is, at a pressure of 100 kPa or 200 kPa, the in-plane permeability of the drainage composite should satisfy these limits. This is as per MORTH or IRC 34. And this is one of the project, that is improvement in widening of two laning with paved shoulders in Agartala in the state of Tripura. So this was executed by NHIDCL, that is National Highway and Infrastructure Development Corporation, and KMC Constructions was the contractor. Basically, the state of Tripura, that is in Agartala, it is a very heavy rainfall area. So the subsurface drainage was of utmost importance. And for your information, the availability of aggregate for the construction of conventional GSB material was very scarce. They used to procure it from somewhere around 100 or 150 kilometers and more than that. And under such conditions, soil cement stabilized subbase was adopted by the contractor. And then the CRRI, that is Central Road Research Institute, that has recommended the use of drainage composite in as they are using the soil and cement stabilized subbase, and to compensate the drainage. So CRRI has recommended the use of drainage composite at the subbase. So these are some of the photographs. So this is the preparation of surface. So once your surface is prepared, so your rolls of drainage composite are unrolled, and the adjacent rolls, as I said earlier, are maintained with overlap. So once these rolls are unrolled, your fill material is dumped and it is spread and then compacted. So this is the application of subsurface drainage using geosynthetic material. So now the overlay stabilization. So that is stabilizing your bituminous layers or the asphalt layers. So generally what happens is, even you might have seen like in a regular intervals, after every 5 years or 10 years, they do overlay on the existing road. As already there might be the presence of cracks, which will make the requirement of overlay. So due to that, they will again do the black topping for about 40 to 50 mm, and it looks like a new road. So what happens is, there will be already the cracks that will be there on the old pavement, old layer. So if we lay the new layer on the top of the cracked surface, over a period of time, maybe after 3 or 4 years, these cracks propagate from the old layer to the new layer. This we call it as bottom up cracking. So this will again damage the new overlay. So to prevent that, if we lay an interlayer before laying the new layer, so which will arrest the old cracks at that particular position itself, and which will prevent the propagation of cracks to the existing layer. This will enhance the life of your overlay. That is, whatever the black topping we are doing, that will enhance the life of the pavement. So in effective, what it will do, it will minimize the maintenance cost. Because as of today, like, government is spending crores of money in maintaining the existing roads actually. So this application proves very effective in minimizing that cost burden. So for the asphalt reinforcement, the IRC SP 59, that is the guidelines for use of geosynthetics, gives the detailed specification and mechanism how it works. So here, the asphalt reinforcement reduces the reflective cracks. That is whatever the bottom of cracking that I've just told you, that we call it as reflective cracking. So the asphalt reinforcement reduces the reflective cracking and improves the moisture retention by impregnating with the bitumen in the tack coat. So in generally the paving fabric and the paving grids or the asphalt layer composites, all these materials are glass fiber materials. That is, these are made up of glass fibers. So in order to like take care of the high temperatures that are present in the bituminous layers. So this is the bottom table is the comparison between the fabric, the grid, and the composite. So as you can see, the composite, which is a combination of glass fiber grid or the paving fabric, which serves all the purpose. So this is the technical specification where your tensile strength, elongation, mesh size, and the melting point of your composite material is of prime importance over here. So regarding the overlay stabilization, this is the one project in the state of Rajasthan, that is the road project between Bharatpur and Mahua, and which was executed by NHAI, and contractor was Madhukan Projects. So this was the road condition before the execution of these maintenance works, where your crack widths are more than 5 mm, and the water infiltration during the monsoon into these cracks will further deteriorate the pavement structure. And if at all the contractor lays a blacktopping on the top of it again, the bottom of cracking will cause the frequent maintenance, and which will increase the maintenance costs. So to overcome that, they have just introduced an interlayer using asphalt interlayer composite, that is a glass fiber composite, on the top of the existing road. And if you can see here the cracks, so this is the existing road and this is the glass fiber composite which is laid on the existing road. So once this roll is unrolled, so then your tack coat is applied and the bituminous topping is laid. So this is the compaction, and this is the finished road with the interlayer material. So this will serve the, or this will increase the life of your blacktopping or the overlay. So the next application is slope erosion control. Often you might have seen the road embankments where the slopes of the road embankments are getting eroded over a period of time due to the rainfall or the surface water flow. So to prevent the erosion of road embankments, conventionally there are materials like stone pitching. They do 300 mm thick, that is 0.3 meter thick stone pitching, or the concreting they do. And as an alternative, there is a geocell of lower thickness, that is 75 mm or 100 mm thick. And in the geocell, you can either fill the vegetative soil. If you fill the vegetative soil and do the regular watering, the vegetation will come on the geocell or the slope surface. And if at all there are conditions where the growth of vegetation is very difficult due to the climatic conditions, or you do not want to get into the regular watering or such kind of stuff, then concrete or gravel fill in the geocell will serve the purpose. So the specification of geocell will remain same as the earlier application, except the thickness of the geocell. Next is regarding the case study for the slope erosion control. that is the erosion protection work for landfill embankment in the region of Kutch in Gujarat, which was executed by Central Pollution Control Board, and Saurashtra Indro Projects was the contractor. So the landfill surface got damaged during the first monsoon itself, post-construction, which left the embankment slope with many rain cuts, rills or gullies. So due to these heavy rains and after the damage, the continuous impact of rains, these cuts or gullies became very deep. So the authority has decided to go with some advanced and permanent environmental friendly solution to prevent the existing damaged slopes of erosion. So this is the surface which was first covered with the geotextile to prevent the migration of fine particles, and then the geocell was laid, and in the geocell the soil was filled, and in this soil itself there were some seeds that were mixed, and then the soil was filled. So what happens is, due to that seeds, when you do the watering, automatically the vegetation will come. And apart from this, I was talking about the other alternative also, that is the concrete filling. Here you can see this is the PCC, that is plumb concrete, that is being filled in the geocell. So now to conclude, I would just like to revise what are the applications that we have seen. That is starting from the separation and filtration, where we are using a non-woven geotextile in place of a conventional well-degraded stand layer. And then regarding the geocell or the geogrid for the ground improvement, where conventionally people are using the soil replacement or gravel filling or the chemical stabilization. And then there is drainage composite, which is used for subsurface drainage in place of a well-graded aggregate layer. And geogrid reinforced flexible pavement in place of conventional flexible pavement. And for the overlays, where you have a frequent overlays, to minimize that, there is asphalt interlayer composite. And at the last, we have seen the surface erosion control using a geocell, which is in place of a concrete lining or the stone pitching. So if you can observe in all the applications, we are using the geosynthetic materials in the soil stabilization or any strengthening layer in order to save some kind of natural resource, which is becoming very scarce now. And by achieving that reduction in using natural resources, you are not only reducing the cost of the project, but also making the project happen very quick. So this is the conclusion for like today's presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dheeraj.
Yes. Will there be any questions now, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that was a wonderful session, sir, and all our participants are very happy with the session.
Yeah, thank you.
Sir, let's take some. Let's take a few questions from the participants, sir.
Yes.
Engineer Abhinit is asking, as mentioned, the basal reinforcement using geocell, the stress do not go to bottom pore cell. If yes, then how much depth in terms of critical depth? How much strength improvement typically observed?
Just can you repeat once?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As mentioned, the basal reinforcement using geocell, the stress do not go to bottom pore cell, poor soil. If yes, then how much depth in terms of critical depth? How much strength improvement typically observed?
See, one thing is, I did not say that the stress absolutely will not go to the poor soil or the soil. I said it will only dissipate, because if you have 100 MPa pressure or 100 kPa pressure, you can say some 50 or 60 kPa will be transferred to the existing soil, and then the remaining will be dissipated at that particular point. So it will only minimize the pressures that is coming onto the poor soils, but it will not completely eliminate, because something has to go on the ground, because even your geocell is resting on the ground itself.
Okay, sir. And one more question from Engineer Abhinit. How to restrict the base heaving of runway using geosynthetic?
Base heaving.
Yeah, yes, sir. Base heaving. How to restrict
First
the base
is
heaving of runway using geosynthetic?
of runway, airport runway. Okay.
Oh, yes,
First
sir.
is again that is a part of ground improvement where you have different soil conditions. Based on the different soil conditions, if you have a very deep clay layer, that is if your clay layer is somewhere varying between 6 meter to 10 meter depth, in such situations you have to do the deep ground improvement. That is, you have to first enhance the consolidation with the preloading, and you, for the consolidation you need to use the PVDs, that is perforated vertical drills, which will like make the consolidation process very quick. And during that preloading and consolidation itself, whatever the heaving you are expecting, that will happen at that particular time itself before construction of your runway itself. And then if you construct the runway, that will eliminate the future heavings. And second is, if we do not have the deep clay layers, or if you only have the shallow depths of clay, in such situations, your heaving can be prevented by using the geocell or the geogrid for the wider areas than the existing runway width or the embankment width.
Okay, sir. And one more question from Motas. Can we use a geocell in case of soft soil?
Yes, that is more effective in soft soil only. Whatever the application I have shown you, that is for soft soil only. Because even the case study what I have shown, that is in the Navi Mumbai, that is a pure marine clay. If you put a leg on the top of soil, it will sink. So that kind of soft nature it is. And in such soils, your geocell will be the effective ones.
Okay, sir. And a question from Engineer Abhinit. Up to which slope inclination the geocell will perform well?
It is not performance, but the limiting slope is 1:1.5, that is 33 degrees from the horizontal. Because if we go more steeper than that, the geocell will slide down. And road embankments also are not, most of the times it is not constructed steeper than that, because ultimately your slope has to be geotechnically stable first to provide any kind of erosion control. Because if we lay the geocell for the erosion control, that will not stabilize your embankment. Your embankment needs to be stabilized by laying a geocell at the bottom. The erosion control only prevents the wash away of the fine particles from the surface. That's it.
Okay, sir. Mr. Shekhar Reddy is asking, can we use geocell in gabion mesh?
No, geocell is different and gabion is different. Gabion, you use only stones for filling. In geocell, it is aggregate or sand kind of a material which you use.
Okay, sir. And Mr. Nag is asking, can I use woven geotextile in separation?
No, because as he said, geotextiles are of two types. One is woven and non-woven. Woven will have more strength, but less puncture resistance. And even the opening size of the woven is more. So where your strength is a requirement, there you can use woven. But in case of a separation and filtration, strength is not a predominant requirement for me. I need to first arrest the migration of particles. So for that, what I need is as minimum opening size as possible. And at the same time, I need to discharge of the water. In woven geotextiles, absolutely I can discharge the water more than the non-woven geotextile, but I cannot arrest the soil particles migration because your opening will be more in the woven geotextiles.
Okay, sir. And Ali Maskood is asking, if I put one more layer on existing layer, the level of road will be raised.
See, the thickness of geosynthetic rolls will be very minimal, somewhere around 3 to 5 mm. So I think it doesn't affect on levels. If it is GeoCell, you are using in the existing layer itself. For example, if you are having a particular GSB material or the granular material, without GeoCell also that layer will be there. So you are strengthening that layer using a GeoCell. So you are not adding any additional thickness onto the embankment.
Okay, sir. And a question from AP Engineers Hub. Can we use geosynthetics in canal lining? If so, how is it cheaper?
Yes, canal lining, it can be used. For example, if you are using reinforced concrete for the lining of canals, in place of reinforced concrete, so whatever thickness you are planning, you can use the GeoCell filled with PCC. That just the last photograph of the case study that I have shown. That in that manner you can use the GeoCell for the canal lining. And regarding the cost saving, you are replacing the RCC with the PCC plus GeoCell. So absolutely there will be some savings in the cost also.
Okay, sir. And a question from Deepali. If geosynthetics reduce the cost, why are we still working with alternative materials such as ash and dust for soil stabilization?
Ultimately, ash and dust is also a free material or a cheaper material. So we are using geosynthetics in order wherever they are using the conventional regular granular materials or the natural resources, which are becoming scarce. There we are proposing the geosynthetics. In case of fly ash or these kind of materials are already the waste materials of a cement industry, which are abundantly available. So we are not using in place of as an alternative to ash or dust.
One more question from Abhinit Kumar. What is the efficiency of the discussed geosynthetics if the groundwater table is near the surface?
If the groundwater table is near the surface, then I showed you an application of capillary rise, where your drainage composite will prevent the passage of water from the existing ground to the top of the structure.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. That's it. No more questions.
Yeah, thank you.
I thank Mr. K. Dheeraj Kumar Reddy Garu for spending his valuable time with us and giving us valuable information. You taking time out of your busy personal and professional schedules means the world to us, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and I thank entire team and Ishwar Reddy sir for giving me this opportunity and interact with my juniors. So thank you, sir. Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Dheeraj.
Yes,
So I
sir.
am so proud of you people. So you are representing the Department of Civil Engineering across the nation. So you are bringing laurels to the institute by the way you are practicing geotechnical engineering. And we are happy to say that we are having a lot of pride in saying that you are our student. So I hope you will keep it so throughout your life, and you will reach highest epitomes in your professional career as well as personal career. So thank you very much. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you everyone.